Section 1. The Ultimatum. June 13, 1866, Fort Laramie, Wyoming Territory. The air under the great canvas shade is stifling. It smells of dust, sweat, and bitter tobacco smoke from clay and stone pipes. For weeks, the U.S. government's peace commissioners, led by E.B. Taylor, have been negotiating with the powerful Lakota, Cheyenne, and Arapaho. The subject? A new road, the Bozeman Trail, a shortcut to the Montana gold fields that will slice directly through their last, best hunting grounds, the Powder River country. The talks are already poisoned by distrust. The Sand Creek Massacre is a raw, unhealed wound. But some chiefs, like Spotted Tail and Man Afraid of His Horses, are listening. They are trading land for peace, for government promises of annuities, blankets, beef, and sugar. Then a sound breaks the fragile quiet. It's not the snap of a rifle. It's the distant rhythmic tramp of marching feet, the jingle of harness, the groan of heavy wagon wheels. Heads turn. The Lakota delegation looks north, their faces hardening. Commissioner Taylor's face flushes. He knew this was coming. Into the heart of the Peace Council marches Colonel Henry B. Carrington, leading the 2nd Battalion of the 18th U.S. Infantry. 700 men, bayonets glinting on their Springfield muzzle-loaders, followed by wagons, a full regimental band, and even 226 mules. They are not an escort, they are an occupation. The music stops, the council is silent, the deception is total. Carrington, a prim, bespectacled engineer and lawyer from Ohio, steps forward. He is polite, professional. He explains to the commissioners and to the assembled chiefs that he is not here to ask for a road. He is here to build forts to protect the road. His orders are already cut. The treaty is a formality. A ripple of fury passes through the native delegation. This is the ultimate insult. The U.S. is negotiating for land it is simultaneously invading. One man rises. He is not a Laramie loafer, one of the chiefs who lingers near the fort for handouts. This is Mahpialuta, Red Cloud, the formidable leader of the Oglala Lakota. He is not a hereditary chief. He is a war leader, a shirt-wearer who earned his reputation through unmatched bravery and fierce defense of his people. He walks toward Carrington, his eyes blazing. He does not address the commissioners. He points a finger directly at the colonel. His voice, translated by a nervous interpreter, is low and severe. You are the white eagle who has come to steal the road. Red Cloud says, his voice cutting the hot air. The Great Father has sent you to steal our land and to kill our game. Before the white man came, we were happy. We had plenty. Now we are told to beg. He gestures to the north. The Great Father sends us presents and asks for a road. But before the goods are opened, he sends soldiers to take the road. I have come here to talk peace, but I see the white chief brings warriors. Carrington stands his ground, a man bound by orders. He is an administrator, not a frontiersman. He has been told the Indians are a nuisance, a police problem. Red Cloud takes a final step. His face inches from the colonel's. The white man may go and build his houses. He snarls, but I will talk with you no more. I will fight you. I will hunt you. As long as I live, I will fight for the last hunting grounds of my people. He turns, his buffalo robe sweeping the dust. With a single gesture, he leads his entire Oglala delegation, along with the northern Cheyenne and Arapaho, out of the council shade. They ride north, not south to the reservation. They ride north to the Powder River. They ride to war. Back at Laramie, the commissioners are flustered. General William Tecumseh Sherman, commanding the division from distant St. Louis, is unbothered. He dismisses Red Cloud's threat as bluster. Colonel Carrington, though shaken, dutifully prepares his column. His superiors have laughed off the warning. They have assured him the Indians will not fight a sustained campaign. A few days later, Carrington's 700 soldiers, his 26 wagons of tools and supplies, his regimental band, and even his wife and children march out of Fort Laramie. They are following the Bozeman Trail north, into the very heart of the country Red Cloud just swore to his face he would die to protect. They are an army of builders sent to do a warrior's job, and they are marching directly into the largest, most sophisticated ambush the American West has ever seen. Section 2. The Bloody Trail. July 17, 1866, near the forks of the Little Piney Creek, Wyoming Territory. The sound of 700 axes and saws echoes through the valley. Colonel Carrington's men are sweating in the high country sun, felling lodgepole pines. They are not fighting, they are building. Carrington, the meticulous engineer, has selected the perfect site for his flagship post, Fort Phil Kearny. It has abundant water, rich grazing for the mules, and endless timber. It is a builder's dream. It is also perfectly overlooked. From the surrounding ridges, Lodge Trail Ridge to the west, Sullivan Hills to the east, Lakota and Cheyenne scouts watch every move. They are unseen, unheard. They watch the bluecoats stack the 8-foot-high pine palisades. They watch the vulnerable wood-cutting details venture farther and farther from the fort's pathetically small perimeter guard. The commanders at Fort Laramie had laughed. But here, 233 miles deep in hostile territory, the laughter has stopped. Red Cloud doesn't need to attack the fort. He simply has to cut its artery. The war begins not with a battle, but with 1,000 cuts. On the very day Carrington's column arrives, a small wagon train from a civilian contractor, lagging behind the main force, is attacked. The wagons are burned, the oxen driven off, and 2 civilians are killed, their bodies bristling with arrows. The bluster has become lethal. Carrington, realizing his predicament, immediately establishes a smaller post 65 miles back, Fort Reno. He then pushes on to build his main bastion, Fort Phil Kearny, and sends another detachment to build the northernmost post, Fort C.F. Smith in Montana. He has done exactly as ordered. He has built his forts. But in doing so, he has stretched his 700 men, many of them new recruits who barely know how to fire their aging Springfield rifles, over 200 miles of the most dangerous country in North America. The daily routine at Fort Phil Kearny becomes a grueling ritual of terror. The post is a prison. No one is safe outside the stockade. The most dangerous assignment in the U.S. Army is not scouting, not guarding, but cutting wood. Every morning, the wood train, a collection of slow-moving, mule-drawn wagons, rumbles out of the fort's massive gates. It requires a heavy escort, 20, 30, sometimes 50 men, just to travel 1.5 miles to the pinery to harvest timber. And every day the Lakota are waiting. They use signal mirrors, flashing warnings and commands from the high ridges. They appear suddenly from hidden ravines known as coulees, a high, ululating war cry, a cloud of dust, and a hail of arrows. They don't try to overrun the guards, they just pick them off. They dash in, sever the mule harnesses, and drive off the precious livestock, leaving the soldiers stranded, the wagons immobilized, and the fort one day closer to freezing to death when winter comes. Inside the stockade, a different kind of war is brewing. Carrington is a man of regulations. He is defensive, cautious. He issues strict orders. No party must be sent from the post, under any circumstances whatever, unless it is strong enough to resist any attack. His officers, many of them hardened Civil War veterans, despise him for it. They pace the unfinished parade ground like caged lions. They want to fight. They want one big, decisive battle to thresh the Indians. The most vocal of these hawks is Captain William Judd Fetterman. He is the opposite of Carrington, dashing, brave, and suicidally arrogant. He is a brevet lieutenant colonel, a man who tasted glory at Atlanta. He looks at the Lakota hit-and-run tactics with utter contempt. He sees them as cowardly, inferior. A single company of regulars could whip 1,000. Fetterman scoffs in the officers' mess. He looks at Carrington's high walls and locked gates with disdain. He petitions his commander for more aggressive action. The men, hearing his confidence, begin to idolize him. Carrington, sensing the building frustration, holds to his orders. The fort must be finished. But the attacks are escalating. The Lakota are growing bolder. They ride close enough to taunt the sentries, screaming insults in broken English. Red Cloud is tightening the noose. He isn't just trying to stop travel on the Bozeman Trail, he is trying to wipe these forts from his land. By late autumn, the fort is finally complete. It is an engineering marvel, but the cost has been staggering. In just 5 months, the Lakota have killed 33 soldiers and civilians, wounded 60, and stolen nearly 700 head of livestock. The soldiers are demoralized, the officers are mutinous, and winter is closing in. The Lakota have proven they own the land. Now they are about to prove they can destroy the army that occupies it. Section 3. The 100 Slain. December 21st, 1866. Fort Phil Kearny, 11:20 a.m. The cold is brutal, the ground frozen solid. A light snow dusts the pine stockade. Lookouts on the sentinel posts stamp their feet, their breath pluming in the air. Suddenly, the cry comes down from the northwest. Wood trains in trouble. Puffs of smoke are visible from the pinery, followed by the distant crack and crack of Springfield rifles. The heliograph station on Pilot Hill flashes a frantic signal. Attacked by Indians. Large force. In the officers' mess, Captain William Fetterman slams his fist on the table. This is his chance. He storms into Colonel Carrington's headquarters, his face flushed with righteous anger, demanding to lead the relief column. Carrington, wary, looks at his insubordinate captain. He knows Fetterman's temperament. He relents, but with a chillingly specific order. His voice is iron. You will relieve the wood train, sir. Support it and drive the Indians back. But under no circumstances will you pursue the enemy beyond Lodge Trail Ridge. You understand me, Captain? Do not cross that ridge. Yes, sir. Fetterman snaps, a predatory gleam in his eye. He bursts out onto the parade ground, shouting for his men. He will not take a mere company. He handpicks his strike force. He takes his own infantry company. He takes Captain Frederick Brown, the post quartermaster, a man who loathes Carrington and has boasted he is going to get a scalp for Christmas or die trying. He takes Lieutenant George Grummond, another rash, glory-hungry officer. He gathers the best of the 18th Infantry and a detachment of the 2nd Cavalry. With them go 2 civilians, James Wheatley and Isaac Fisher. They are not armed with single-shot Army rifles. They carry the new, terrifying 16-shot Henry repeating rifles. In total, it is a force of 81 men. It is the strongest, most aggressive detachment Fort Phil Kearny can muster. As they form up, Fetterman is overheard boasting, "With 80 men, I could ride through the entire Sioux Nation." They march out the north gate at a quick step, the cavalry troopers leading the way, the infantry jogging to keep up. When they reach the wood train, the skirmish is already over. The Lakota have scattered. The train is safe. Fetterman's orders are fulfilled. But then he sees them. On the crest of Lodge Trail Ridge, the very ridge Carrington forbade him to cross, is a small party of perhaps 10 warriors. They don't flee. They sit on their ponies, taunting the soldiers. One of them, a young Oglala named Crazy Horse, dismounts, pretends his pony is lame and waves his buffalo robe in defiance. For Fetterman, this is an unbearable insult. This is the 1,000 he boasted of. This is the rabble that has been humiliating his army for months. He turns to his bugler. He gives the order. The bugle call cuts through the cold air. Charge. He leads his men at a run, straight up the slope of Lodge Trail Ridge. Back at Fort Phil Kearny, Carrington hears the bugle call. He and his remaining officers scramble to the sentry platform. They watch in horror as the blue column of 81 men reaches the crest, silhouettes itself against the winter sky for one brief, terrible moment, and then vanishes down the other side. They have crossed the ridge. They are out of sight. For 5 minutes, there is absolute, agonizing silence. Then, at 12:05 p.m., a sound erupts from the Pano Creek Valley, a sound so loud the men back at the fort mistake it for a powder magazine exploding. It is not one explosion. It is the simultaneous, deafening roar of over 1,000 rifles, the high-pitched shriek of 1,500 Lakota, Cheyenne, and Arapaho warriors. Red Cloud has sprung his masterpiece. The decoy was perfect. The small party of warriors led Fetterman directly into the center of a 3-mile-wide trap. From every ravine and gully, the warriors rise. Crazy Horse, who had planned the maneuver, wheels his own force around to seal the only escape route. The 81 men are swallowed in a sea of bison robes and painted faces. The fight is over in less than 30 minutes. The cavalry, led by the reckless Grummond, is cut down first. The infantry, with Fetterman and Brown, tries to make a stand on a rocky hillock. They are overwhelmed. The repeating rifles of Wheatley and Fisher bark furiously, piling up attackers, but they are submerged by sheer numbers. The soldiers, fighting with bayonets and clubbed rifles, are annihilated. Back at the fort, the continuous roar of gunfire dwindles to sporadic shots. Then, nothing. Just the high, thin sound of victory cries carrying on the wind. Carrington, his face ashen, orders another, larger party under Captain Ten Eyck to march out. They are not a relief column. They are a recovery team. Ten Eyck's men march cautiously to the crest of Lodge Trail Ridge. They stop, frozen by the sight below. The valley is filled with warriors, stripping and mutilating the dead. As Ten Eyck's small force appears, the warriors slowly, confidently ride away. When Ten Eyck finally descends into the valley, he finds a scene from hell. Not one of Fetterman's 81 men is alive. They are stripped, frozen in the snow, and filled with arrows. Fetterman and Brown lie together, dead by their own hands, their revolver barrels empty. The message is clear. The U.S. Army's finest, most arrogant soldiers have been wiped out to the last man. Red Cloud, the blustering chief, now commands the Paha Sapa, and Fort Phil Kearny is no longer just a prison. It is a tomb. Section 4. The Rider in the Blizzard. December 21st, 1866, 9:00 p.m., Fort Phil Kearny. Absolute terror has replaced the bloodlust of the morning. The temperature is plummeting toward 25 below zero. A blizzard is howling out of the north, piling drifts against the 8-foot stockade. Inside the fort is a powder keg of grief and fear. The bodies of Fetterman's 81 men lie frozen in the wagon boxes, where Ten Eyck's detail laid them, piled like cordwood. The women and children are huddled in the sutler's store, the thick sod roof the only defense against a stray fire arrow. Every man left alive, less than 300 effective soldiers, is on the firing line, peering into the swirling white darkness. They are exhausted, frostbitten, and low on ammunition. Colonel Henry Carrington, his career in ruins, knows what this is. It is a siege. Red Cloud's warriors are celebrating on the ridges, enraged and victorious. They know the fort is crippled. They know the wood train is gone, the livestock stolen. They know the soldiers are terrified. Carrington believes they will attack at dawn, a final overwhelming assault to wipe the post from the earth. He is isolated. The telegraph line to Fort Laramie, 233 miles south, has been cut for weeks. He has no way to call for help. He gathers his remaining officers. He needs a messenger. He asks for volunteers. The men look at the floor. It is a suicide mission. To ride out of the fort tonight means riding directly through the thousands of warriors who have just annihilated the best soldiers on the frontier in a blizzard in the dark. 2 men step forward. They are not soldiers. They are civilians, frontiersmen who know the high, cold darkness. James Portugee Phillips and Daniel Dixon. Carrington wastes no time. He brings Phillips his own horse, a thoroughbred named Dandy, the best mount at the post. There are no grand farewells. This is a mission of stealth. At midnight, the Sallyport gate on the far side of the fort is opened, just a crack. The hinges groan, muffled by the wind. Phillips and Dixon, wrapped in buffalo robes, their faces covered, slip out into the storm. They don't ride. They walk, leading their horses, disappearing instantly into the blinding snow. They move northwest, away from the trail, using the blizzard as their cover. They push through waist-deep drifts, their senses screaming. They are in the heart of the Lakota and Cheyenne winter camps. They can smell the smoke from their lodge fires, hear the distant muffled drumming of the victory dance celebrating Fetterman's death. Dixon's horse gives out at Fort Reno. Phillips pushes on alone. For 4 days, he rides. He does not stop. The world is a frozen hell of wind and ice. He hides in snowdrifts during the day, riding only in the numbing darkness. His horse, Dandy, is pushed to the absolute limit of equine endurance. Phillips's own legs swell and freeze, his body a solid block of pain. December 25, 1866, Christmas night, Fort Laramie. The officers and their wives are celebrating. Old Bedlam, the post headquarters, is alive with light and laughter. A full-dress ball is underway. Couples waltz across the floor, the violin music a warm, civilized bubble against the Wyoming winter. Suddenly, the main doors burst open. A gust of Arctic air silences the music. A figure stands in the doorway. It is not a man. It is a monster, a spectre of ice. It is John Portugee Phillips, his buffalo robe frozen solid, his face a mask of frost. He stumbles past the shocked, velvet-clad officers. He sees the post commander, Colonel Palmer. He collapses at his feet. His voice is a frozen croak. "Fetterman, wiped out." He gasps. 81 men, killed, Fort Phil Kearny, besieged. I am the last. The message is a live grenade tossed into the Christmas ball. The laughter stops. The war is no longer a distant bluster. It is a catastrophe. Philip's horse, Dandy, is led to the stables, where he collapses and dies. Phillips himself is carried to the post hospital, where he will spend weeks recovering from severe frostbite. The telegraph operators at Fort Laramie frantically tap out Carrington's desperate message. The news hits Omaha, then Chicago, then Washington, D.C. It electrifies the nation. The U.S. Army, the victors of the Civil War, have suffered their worst defeat on the Great Plains. Red Cloud has not only shut down the Bozeman Trail, he has humiliated the United States government. He has proven that the Powder River country is his, and that the U.S. Army stays there only on his terms. The laughter has completely and utterly stopped. Section 5. The Corral of Fire. January 26, 1867, Fort Phil Kearny. The blizzard that saved Portugee Phillips is now the enemy. It is a wall of white, howling misery. Through the storm, a new column of soldiers arrives, led by Brevet Brigadier General Wessels. He is here with supplies and reinforcements. He is also here with a piece of paper. Colonel Henry B. Carrington, the man who built this post, the man who gave the specific order Fetterman defied, is being relieved of command. He is the scapegoat. In Washington, the Fetterman disaster is not seen as a tactical blunder by a reckless captain. It is seen as a catastrophic failure of command. Carrington, the cautious engineer, is blamed for allowing 81 men to be massacred. He is ordered to march his garrison, his wife, and his children out of the fort in the dead of winter, a brutal 233-mile trek back to Fort Laramie, through the very country Red Cloud now completely controls. General William T. Sherman, his bluster remarks now choking him in the press, is incandescent with rage. This is not a war. It is an insult. He demands a winter campaign of vindictive earnestness to hunt down the Lakota and bring them to terms, even if it results in the extermination of the whole tribe. But a winter campaign is impossible. The army is trapped in its forts. The Powder River country belongs to Red Cloud. The U.S. government, however, has a second strategy. If it cannot outfight the Lakota, it will outshoot them. Spring 1867. Crates begin arriving at Fort Phil Kearny and Fort C.F. Smith. They are not filled with more soldiers, they are filled with new rifles, the model 1866 Springfield trapdoor conversion. The soldiers, many of them green recruits, look at the weapons with awe. The days of the muzzle loader are over. No more fumbling with paper cartridges. No more pouring powder down a barrel while a warrior charges at you. You flip open a block. You slide in a .50 caliber metallic cartridge. You snap it shut. You fire. You reload in 3 seconds. The Army also issues a limited number of Spencer repeating carbines. 7 shots, as fast as you can work the lever. The soldiers practice at the firing range, the crack, crack, crack of sustained fire echoing off the ridges where the Lakota scouts are watching. The Army is waiting for the inevitable summer offensive. August 2nd, 1867, a clearing 5 miles west of Fort Phil Kearny. The woodcutting contract has been taken over by civilian contractors. They need timber. They know the risk. Their leader, Captain James Powell, is a quiet, steady veteran. He is not William Fetterman. He is not arrogant. He is terrified. He has 32 men, 26 infantrymen from Company C, and 6 civilians. To protect them, he has built a small, crude fortress. It is not a fort. It is a corral, an oval perimeter made of 14 simple wagon boxes, taken off their wheels and laid on the ground. The boxes are lined with grain sacks and spare blankets, just enough to stop an arrow, maybe a musket ball. Inside this flimsy ring, Powell places his 32 men. He has all the new Springfields, he has the Spencers, and he has thousands of rounds of ammunition stacked in open crates right next to the shooters. Just after 9 a.m., the Lakota lookouts give the signal. This is the day. Red Cloud has assembled a massive force, perhaps as many as 2,000 warriors, including his greatest lieutenants. They have studied this little corral. It is a joke. It is 32 men in a circle of wood. The first wave, several hundred strong, attacks the picket line. The soldiers scramble back into the corral. The Lakota, led by Crazy Horse, let out their war cries. This will be over in minutes. They charge. A sheet of flame erupts from the wagon boxes. The sound is not the sporadic pop of muzzle loaders. It is a continuous, deafening roar. Crack, 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 crack. It is the sound of a machine. Warriors and ponies are ripped apart. The sheer volume of fire is something they have never encountered. It is a wall of lead. The charge is broken before it even gets close. The warriors wheel their ponies, stunned, leaving dozens of dead and wounded on the grass. They regroup. They are confused. The soldiers' rifles did not go quiet. They did not stop to reload. They try again. A second, larger charge. They ride low, hanging off the sides of their ponies. Again, the corral explodes. The .50 caliber slugs tear through the horses, through the rawhide shields, through the warriors themselves. The attack is shattered. For 5 hours, the Lakota try. They try charging on foot. They try crawling through the grass. They try to light the wagon boxes with fire arrows, but the wood is too green. Each time, they are met by this relentless, rapid, accurate fire. Inside the corral, the men are sweating, their rifle barrels too hot to touch. They swap out guns, letting one cool while they fire another. They are piling up brass cartridges at their feet. They are holding. By 2 p.m., the Lakota have had enough. The cost is too high. The valley floor is littered with their dead and wounded. This is not a battle. It is a slaughter. They retreat. Inside the wagon box corral, Powell counts his losses. 3 men dead, 2 wounded. Outside, the Lakota have suffered hundreds of casualties. The wagon box fight and the similar hayfield fight near Fort C.F. Smith are stunning tactical victories for the U.S. Army. The new breechloader has proven it can defeat thousands. But Red Cloud is not a tactician. He is a strategist. He knows he doesn't have to win these fights. He doesn't have to take the forts. He just has to make the road unusable. The army may have won the battle, but they are still prisoners in their own forts. The wood train is still burned. The road is still closed. And in Washington, D.C., the politicians are finally looking at the ledger. They are adding up the cost in dollars, the cost in blood, and the cost in public humiliation. They are realizing that Red Cloud's bluster is costing them a fortune. The new rifles have won the fight, but they are about to lose the war. Section 6. The Unthinkable Surrender. Autumn 1867, Washington, D.C. The halls of the War Department are filled with a quiet, humiliated fury. The victory at the wagon box corral has done nothing to change the strategic reality. The Bozeman Trail is still closed. Travel has completely stopped. Freighting costs have skyrocketed. Red Cloud, by waging a relentless war of attrition, has made the Powder River forts untenable. The U.S. government is spending over $1 million a week, in 19th century dollars, to protect a road that no one can use. General William T. Sherman, the man who wanted extermination, now faces a different kind of enemy. A budget? He and General Grant, looking at the larger map, see the future. And the future is the Transcontinental Railroad, now being built with feverish intensity far to the south of the Powder River. This northern trail, this shortcut to Montana, is no longer worth the blood. It is no longer worth the humiliation. Congress acts. It creates the Indian Peace Commission, a body of generals and civilians, including Sherman himself. Their mandate has shifted. It is no longer victory. It is peace. They are ordered to find a solution, and to find it now. April 1868, Fort Laramie, Wyoming Territory. The Treaty Council is convened once again, in the same place where Red Cloud delivered his ultimatum 2 years earlier. The commissioners, General Harney, General Terry, E.B. Taylor, sit at the table. Runners are sent to the Powder River. Come and talk. The war is over. We offer peace. Some chiefs do come. Spotted Tail, man afraid of his horses. They are weary of fighting. They sign the new Treaty of Fort Laramie. It is a document full of promises, annuities, schools, agencies, and a new Great Sioux Reservation west of the Missouri River. But the commissioners wait. The one signature that matters, the one man this entire war has been about, is absent. Red Cloud does not come. His reply comes back with a runner, as stark and uncompromising as his speech to Carrington. He is still in the Powder River country. He is not talking. He is not signing. His terms are simple. We are on the warpath, and we will not sign a peace until the soldiers are gone from our land. He demands the complete, unconditional, and total abandonment of the Bozeman Trail forts, Fort Reno, Fort Phil Kearny, and Fort C.F. Smith. The commissioners are stunned. This is not negotiation. This is the demand of a victor. The United States Army does not surrender its forts. It does not retreat under enemy threat. To do so would be to admit, on a national stage, that they have been defeated. The telegraph line from Laramie to Washington hums. General Grant, now the most powerful man in the nation, reviews the request. He looks at the casualty lists. He looks at the budget. He knows that Fetterman's 81 men and the hundreds more killed in small-scale ambushes have bought the United States nothing. He gives the order. July 29, 1868, Fort C.F. Smith. The bugle sounds, not the charge, but retreat. The U.S. flag is lowered from the flagpole. The garrison, which had survived the hayfield fight, shoulders its rifles, opens the gates, and marches away. August 1, 1868, Fort Phil Kearny. This is the one that matters. This is the post built in defiance of Red Cloud's warning. This is the post that Fetterman died to defend. The soldiers of the 18th Infantry, the same regiment that marched in with Carrington, pack their wagons. They load their cannons. They look at the high wooden stockade, the bullet-scarred firing platforms, the graveyard on the hill. This post has cost more in blood and treasure than any other on the frontier. The gates swing open. The column marches south, back down the trail they had so confidently built. From the ridges, Lakota and Cheyenne scouts watch them go. They wait. They make sure it is not another trick. They watch the blue column disappear over the horizon. Then the warriors descend. The first warrior to reach the fort is Little Wolf of the Northern Cheyenne. He rides through the open gate, he takes a torch, and he sets fire to the sutler's store. Within an hour, Fort Phil Kearny, Carrington's impregnable post, the symbol of American manifest destiny, is a pillar of flame, the black smoke rising so high it can be seen for 100 miles. Red Cloud, from a distance, watches the smoke. He has won. He has done the impossible. He has fought the United States Army to a standstill and forced it to surrender territory. Only now, with the forts reduced to ash, will he ride to Fort Laramie. He is no longer a protester. He is a conqueror, coming to sign a treaty that he dictated. Section 7. The Victor's Peace. November 6, 1868, Fort Laramie, Wyoming Territory. The council room is cold. The autumn wind whistles through the cracks in the walls of Old Bedlam. The U.S. Peace Commissioners are waiting, their maps and treaty documents spread on the table. They have been here, off and on, for 7 months. The door opens. It is not a nervous, hurried entrance. Mapia Luta, Red Cloud, enters. He is not the enraged warrior who stormed out in 1866. He is a statesman. He is 46 years old, at the absolute peak of his power, the most famous and feared Native American on the continent. He has spent the last 3 months hunting in the Powder River country. He has personally visited the smoking, charred ruins of Fort Phil Kearny and Fort C.F. Smith. He has kicked through the ashes of the stockades. He has confirmed with his own eyes that the soldiers are gone. He looks at the commissioners. He knows them. General William Harney, General Alfred Terry. These are powerful men, but today they are the supplicants. Red Cloud sits. He does not speak. He waits. An interpreter begins to read the key articles of the 1868 Treaty of Fort Laramie. It is a stunning document. It is not a peace treaty. It is a capitulation. Article 1 declares the war shall forever cease. Article 2 establishes the Great Sioux Reservation, a vast territory that includes all of modern-day South Dakota west of the Missouri River, including the sacred Paha-Sapa, the Black Hills. But it is Article 16 that makes Red Cloud nod, slowly. This is the article he wrote, not with ink, but with the blood of Fetterman's 81 men. The interpreter reads the words, "The United States agrees that the country north of the North Platte River and east of the summits of the Bighorn Mountains shall be held and considered to be unceded Indian territory. And the United States agrees that no white person or persons shall be permitted to settle upon or occupy any portion of the same, or without the consent of the Indians, to pass through the same." It is total. The Bozeman Trail is officially, legally, and forever closed. The treaty goes on, offering annuities, agencies, schools, and blacksmiths, the government's attempt to turn warriors into farmers. Red Cloud listens to these parts with indifference. They are the white man's words. The land, Article 16, that is his word. The commissioner pushes the document forward. "Will you sign?" Red Cloud rises. He walks to the table. He takes the pen. He is an Oglala Lakota. He does not write his name. He makes a simple, powerful X beside his name. He is the last of the great chiefs to sign. It is done. The war is over. Red Cloud has won. It is the only war in the history of the American West, and arguably in the history of the United States, that was a total victory for a Native American nation. Red Cloud had warned them. They had laughed. He had fought. They had surrendered. In Washington, the public, weary of war after the Civil War, accepts the peace. Colonel Henry Carrington, his career and reputation shattered, is quietly shuffled off to a desk job, a victim of his own subordinates' arrogance. Red Cloud returns to the Powder River, not as a chief, but as the chief. He has secured the last great free hunting ground for his people. But the victory, as absolute as it was, is an island in a rushing, poisoned river. The white man's ink, as Red Cloud suspected, is treacherous. The treaty he signed contains a clause he barely noted, that no future cession of land would be valid unless signed by 3/4 of all adult males. It was a clause meant to protect the Lakota. Instead, it would be the very one the government would illegally violate just 8 years later. And the treaty did not account for the one thing more powerful than the U.S. Army: human greed. As Red Cloud enjoys his victory, whispers are already circulating in the mining camps of Montana, whispers of a mineral, a yellow rock, hidden deep within the sacred heart of the new reservation. Whispers about the Black Hills. Red Cloud has won his war, but his victory has only drawn a map for the next one. A new, more ruthless generation of American officers, Custer, Crook, Miles, are studying the Fetterman disaster. They are vowing not to be humiliated. And Red Cloud's own lieutenants, the men who planned the Fetterman trap and led the charges at the wagon box fight, a young warrior named Crazy Horse and a Hunkpapa holy man named Sitting Bull, are watching. The peace of 1868, bought in blood, will not last. The laughter has stopped. But the war for the very soul of the continent, is just beginning.